Salute, Nick Streets. Let's talk about Summer League CT live Friday night Knicks as Summer League comes to an end, man. And we've got a lot to talk about. Salute to everyone in the building. How's everybody doing? Champs. Right, the Summer of Champs continues as Jack Kayil was shut down at halftime in this one in the final game. Tyler Nickel had 9 points, and he showed a great Summer League performance overall. He'll take my best player of Knicks Summer League, and a bright future awaits. Tyler Nickel, right? Didn't shoot efficient tonight, but does a lot of other things, man. 3 steals tonight as well. But of course, we're going to talk about Pacome and what he showed. A lot of question marks still, but 19 points, was aggressive, and definitely finished Summer League, I think, with his best game. And overall, though, the New York Knicks Summer League squad just did not have enough playmaking, man. Missing Tyler Kolek, but Tyler is obviously way too advanced to be playing in Summer League. But overall, really good to get a look at our 2 new rookies and obviously 2 older players. Pacome Dardier coming into his 3rd year, Mo Diawara coming into his 3rd year as well, 2nd year, sorry. Was shut down obviously earlier. But look, Tyler Nickel, I want to start there first and foremost because, yeah, he's going to be with the squad, one way or another in terms of 2-way contract, whether he ends up on a main standard deal at some point during the season, when the moves take place and maybe there's some extra cap room under the second apron. One way or another, I think Tyler Nickel is going to be a mainstay and a New York Knicks rotation player in the future. And that says a lot, That's a huge win, overall. While Summer League was quite underwhelming from an overall perspective, I still take a lot out of it in terms of what we saw from our 47th overall pick. Man, can that boy shoot. But he can do a whole lot more as well. Did not look out of place defensively. Showed a lot of grit, a lot of fight, man. 6'7", good size, and looks like an NBA player. 47th overall pick. So that's a steal, in my opinion. Now, I ain't saying he's going to do. Well, we don't really know what he's going to do in his rookie season. But yeah, the boy can shoot, and he can compete. He can compete at a high level on defense. I think that helps his size. His size helps with that. Obviously, he ain't a great athlete. He can't move his feet that quick. But 3 steals. He's in the passing lanes. He's going to give you a 2nd, 3rd, 4th effort. As we saw the highlight play, man. Right. From this one was Langston. And that was the highlight of the night, man. He gave good energy. Liam Robbins, I think solid overall for Summer League. A lot of people talking about he should come into training camp. Nick's looking for that 3rd big. We'll talk about our roster spot situation right now. Yeah, good dime, good drive on this one from Tyler Nickel. Yeah, he looks ready. He looks seasoned. The Knicks were tied at the half, but they shut down Jack Kayil and a lot of other guys, Dylan Jones, Johnston, Isaiah Sellers, and Jaden Akins, right, had the green light. Pacome Dardier showed us something in terms of his athleticism in the open floor. He started like a house on fire, and then he went quiet, stayed aggressive, and he got blocked at the rim 3 times. And questions remain over Pacome Dardier, not only his game, but his Knicks future, right? Win now, championship team. Knicks still looking for that backup center. He's on $2.9 million, which is more than the minimum, right? You guys let me know in the comment section what to do with Pacome Dardier. What are my overall thoughts? I think he's still a project, he's still raw. There's talent there, there's flashes, but is he on the same timeline? The answer would be no, for me. Now, it's still a good idea to keep some young players around, and if they're patient and you're patient and you believe in their future and their opportunity to turn into something. But I'm just looking at the money situation because Soul Train, salute. Marvin, salute. We're talking about Pacome, and I want to hear your thoughts, guys. Weigh in. We shout you guys out. Nick Street, Summer League comes to an end. But yeah, some good things to take from a Tyler Nickel perspective with a rotation player at the 47th pick. He'll either be on a two-way or a standard deal at some point this season. I got no doubts. When it comes to Pacome Dardier, he's the seasoned young player, and we've got to talk about him first and foremost because there's 2.9 million questions right now. Because if the Knicks can shed some of that salary, that provides another opportunity to fortify the weakest position in the roster right now, guys, which is the backup, the third string center spot, right? Has Pacome Dardier shown enough to be on this timeline, right? I still believe in his talent. He's 20 years old. He shows flashes. Is he tough enough? Is he strong enough physically? I don't think he's quite there yet. He's rangy. He's got the length. He's a solid athlete, and there's something to work with, but not on the $3 million. And then if the Knicks keep him, that turns to $5 million the following season, right? That'll be more than what Jose's making. That'll be more than or close to what Landry's making. So unless he becomes a rotation player, you can't be paying a guy more than Jose. You can't be paying a guy as much as Landry if he ain't even in the rotation. And so, yeah, my early bet would be Pacome Dardier. They do make a decision. And look, we don't even know if teams are willing to take him and that salary and give the Knicks something back of value. The Knicks are going to have to, sweeten the pot, sweeten the pie in terms of a draft pick or two. But yeah, we're trying to repeat, guys. We're trying to go back to back, defend our championship, and I still think this roster could do with a bit more depth, right? Deuce McBride's future is uncertain when it comes to the trade deadline. Clarkson's getting older. Tyler Nickel, right? He looks like he could step in this season and give you more than what Pacome is giving us. So yeah, some great conversations to be had. But yeah, I love what I'm seeing from Tyler Nickel, right? One of the standouts of the entire summer league. 3 steals, impressive. Can rebound as well. Knows where to be out on the floor. So Marvin says Dardier is another Knox. Knicks lose again. Yep, we finish 1-3. But look, yeah, we're more looking for development. But I feel you, man. We love the dubs. We love that winning feeling, and we want to keep it up. But yeah, they shut down Jack Kayil. We'll talk about that tonight. What does that really mean? Because he flew all the way from Germany. Reports still that he's going to get stashed. You think that they would want to give him as many minutes as possible, unless there's some kind of injury, which we don't know about. But yeah, the fact that they didn't want to play Jack Kayil in the second half, does that mean that they've seen enough and they're gonna find a way? Certainly, if they move on from Dardier or someone, that makes up a lot of room. Or have they already decided that Jack Cahill and the buyout situation with his European team is going to be difficult, and maybe they've already decided that he's going to go back and develop for another year? What would you guys do, man? Right. Started the game strong, man. The first 4 minutes, he had a steal, a block, 3 assists, missed a couple of shots, but was extremely active with a really athletic vertical block. as well. As we run some Pacome Dardier highlights, he finished with a team high 19 points and 3-and-1s. But I don't see a guy that's able to give us rotation minutes right now. Ricardo's not sold. Says Pacome can go. There's nothing special there. J Dub says Dardier is still developing. He's only 20. D Grant says Pacome is not worth 2 pennies at this point. This is his third summer league situation, and he doesn't look any better. Yeah, one thing I want to see more of is obviously aggression, and tonight he was more aggressive, but it ain't necessarily a great thing if you're getting blocked all the time at the rim. He had a really ugly stretch where he was blocked 3 times at the rim on consecutive plays. But again, you want to see aggression, but again, I think it just comes down to the money situation. Like, ideally, if he was on less money, you could say, all right, he's the 15th man on a championship team. You let him develop for a couple more seasons. But like I said, the season after this one, he's going to go up to 5.3 million. That's more than Jose. That's almost Landry Shamet. Well, I think that is going to be what Landry Shamet is making this season in the first season of his new deal. Right? We ain't got the time for that. And he ain't exactly leaping off the page either. And so I wouldn't be mad if we keep Dardier around and just see if he takes a leap, in his third year. But at the same time, I'm all for giving more opportunities to Tyler Nickel, Mo Diawara. And I think, if you can find a way to keep Jack Kayil on a 2-way and maybe give him a shot later in the season, if there's some consolidation trade. But yeah, he just still needs to bulk up, obviously get a lot stronger, and he's a decent athlete. Obviously the length makes up for a lot. You see here, transition, shows those flashes, putting the ball on the deck. At the same time, it's a crapshoot. He was a late first round pick. You could look like a guy like a Jack Kayil. Tyler Kolek was selected in the second round, but they're kind of like first round talents as well. You could see them as first round talents. Nice feed from Kayil finding Tyler Nickel in transition. We might be seeing a lot more of this in the future, guys. And I just love Nickel's game because he's got an elite skill set. And if you want to make it in this league, yeah, you don't need to be a jack of all trades. You don't need to be a guy that's doing everything, but you need something that is going to hold us down. And with Nickel, good decision making. I don't think he was forcing it at any point this summer league. He took the open shots. He swung the ball. He was a little unselfish at times. And you still want to see him put the ball on the floor and see if he's got a little floater, or he could finish in traffic and do some other things. But he's got time. You want to focus more on like your bread and butter kind of skill set. And for summer league, I'm giving Tyler Nickel an A because he's already shown that he can slot right into a team fit concept. Plays defense. He crashed the glass as well. 3 steals, man. Like Ricardo says, Nichols is the real deal. Got to agree, man. 47th overall pick. Yeah, his self-awareness is great too, because he kind of knows which guys in the league that he wants to like mold his game after, and he's looking at a Sam Hauser, Max Strauss. I think he's better than Sam Merrill in terms of a ceiling. Sam Merrill's like 6'3". He's undersized, and he'll get abused on defense. Now I know Tyler Nickel hasn't played a regular NBA game, but from all the summer league games that I've seen in 5 games, he ain't getting abused on defense. He might get beat. Every player gets beat. he might make some poor decisions and miss a coverage due to a lack of athleticism or something, but he ain't getting abused in terms of a physical standpoint, and that's why it was a great selection. And I think he's going to have a 10-year NBA career. If he can improve on defense and the shooting, continues. Uh, Building blocks. Salute says the reason Mikal wore Dardier's jersey at the parade is because he knows he won't be a Knick for much longer. Leon is not picking up that option, and I agree. I agree, 100%. Now Dardier might stick around this season. You need some. You need to fill out the roster at the end of the day. But the 2.9 is just, considering you could get a more seasoned player or even maybe a younger player that you feel has more upside or a better fit, like a Musa Cisse from the Dallas Mavericks, who would be a perfect backup center to compete with Andre Drummond. That's what I think the Knicks have got to be looking at. And that'll also help you get the 15th man, like a Tyler Nickel, if you can shed Pacome Dardier's 2.9. Makes a lot of sense, man. Let's keep shouting you guys out. I want to give a grade for Jack Kayil as well. This was his highlight of the night, man. At 6'4" or 6'5" in shoes, with good vertical leap, right? Blocking a 6'8" guy. That was some athleticism and defense. Jack Kayil also flashed some two-way game. Shut down after 10 minutes tonight, but finished with 3 assists early, a steal, a block, a rebound, no turnovers. And I wanted to see more. I was disappointed he was shut down. What does that mean? Does that mean Jack Kayil is, already going to go back to Germany? Does that mean they're going to bring him into camp? Maybe see if they can fit him on a two-way? Ian Begley dropped a great article in terms of how it's possible for Jack Kayil to actually make the team, contractually, because he's still contracted to, the team in Serbia, and that requires a buyout. Now, the only way that buyout can be triggered is if he gets an NBA deal, right? If he gets a two-way deal, apparently he has to trigger the buyout financially himself. We don't know the amount. It might be as little as 50 grand, might be 100 grand, might be more than that. Could be 200 grand. I think that is probably the most likely way Jack Kayil makes the team this year on a two-way. The Knicks could say, look, if we're assuming that Jack Kayil is going to stick around this season and not get stashed. I can't see him making a standard deal unless Pacome gets traded. But to start the season, I could see them saying, hey, all right, two-way deal. You trigger the buyout, use that money, and then we'll convert you to a deal later. We'll give you that money back. Essentially, you're going to have to pay that buyout. If you don't want to go back overseas, and all the reports that Jack Kayil is hell-bent on not going back overseas. And so financially, he's going to have to pony up. But if I'm looking at a player that's probably more deserving of a real deal, it's definitely Tyler Nickel. Defensively and offensively, without the ball, makes a lot more sense being the 15th man. You got a guy like Deuce McBride, might get traded this season. Landry's dealt with a lot of injuries over the last few seasons, knock on wood. He's just got a ready-made game and a complementary skill set. Ricardo says Nichols is a big dude. His body type sort of reminds you of Kevin Love. He's not a small guy. Yeah, he's physical. He competes. On the other side, I sort of feel like Pacome Dardier needs to compete more physically. he just gets overwhelmed. J Dub says Nickel is not getting a roster spot, but he'll get a two-way. Yeah, I think he'll start on a two-way. Because, yeah, you definitely got to fill these two-ways. But I feel like if Dardier or Deuce gets traded, that'll free up 2 spots for a vets minimum and a rookie deal. And J-Dub also says Kayil will get drafted and stashed. Yeah, it's interesting. You know, he got shut down at the halfway point tonight, but started the game strong. Last night, the second night of a back-to-back, the New York Knicks lost last night. And Jack Kayil had a pretty poor performance in terms of, efficiency. Look, he's feeling his way out. Just coming off a long season in Europe, basically flying all the way. Was a late arrival to the team, and I think we've seen enough. I've seen flashes from Jack Kayil to suggest he can be an NBA player. Yeah, it could be the best thing for his development to play another season in the pros. My opinion is that I feel like Jack Kayil, it would be better if he sticks around with the team. If you feel like he's a piece that is going to be a part of this team moving forward, the reason is I don't think he has too much left to prove going back overseas, because better to keep him on a two-way. Play minutes in Westchester, stay with Brunson, practice with the team. He's 20 now. He just won the title with his club in Germany. Like, he's proven enough in my opinion. Yeah, he could go back overseas, play another year as a pro, and compete with grown men. But in terms of a standpoint where he's got something left to prove, going back overseas, like, he just led his team to a title over there. So I understand why Jack Kayil kind of feels like, I don't want to go back overseas. I got nothing left to prove over there. Keep me around. Keep him in the gym. He's proven he's got a game, in between game. He's got the mid range. He can defend. He's got size to compete defensively. Now the shot selection is questionable still. The efficiency, still got to figure that out. But that could be another reason to stay with the Knicks on a two-way. Work out with Peter Patton, the Knicks' great shooting coach, who helped these other guys out with Josh Hart shooting a great percentage. But look, it's all up to him, I guess. The Knicks might be willing to give Cahill a two-way deal, but financially, that's not too rewarding. It's going to be more about what does Cahill feel about the plan for him moving forward. But yeah, there's going to be a lot of discussions throughout the season, guys, with the likes of a Tyler Kolek, with the likes of a Deuce, right? Now Alvarado's here for the now, 3-year deal, no player options. His third year is partially guaranteed, which is an incredible deal. Gotta love Jose for taking that deal. The fact that Pacome Dardier is going to be making more than him as a first-round pick the following season speaks a lot. Landry, grossly underpaid as well. But, these guys, know their roles in the team, unselfish, great pieces to have. Deuce McBride, man, he's a guy that's gonna want to get paid. But right now, from a roster standpoint, man, my biggest concern is the big man situation. Like, we saw Trey Jemison with the team at the ESPYs the other night. That was great to see him around the team still. Wouldn't be surprised if he's eligible for a two-way again. Trey Jemison might be competing for that third backup center position. No talk about Jeremy Sohan. He's probably waiting there patiently for a deal. Right, his stock is at a low around the league. if we do trade Dardier and we make way for a center and Sohan, I wouldn't be mad at that, but I wouldn't sign Sohan to be the third backup center. I think we would be a little too undersized, and I believe that's not the plan. I believe Leon is, all the reporting that Leon Rose is talking to teams around the league, trying to get another big man, because you got Cat, who's always going to be in foul trouble from game to game, and you've got question marks over a 33-year-old Andre Drummond and how consistent he's going to be. That's a fall off from where we were last season, guys, when it comes to losing Mitch, right? So I think Leon Rose, man, he's looking for another big man. Is it going to be a trade, Musa Cisse? Do we wait for the price to go down a little for Eves Missy? Recently, there's been talk about Kayil Ware. Obviously, he got traded. Is he gettable? I would love to get Kayil Ware. I think that's the kind of cheap young talent that we need. Can't keep relying on a vet's minimum backup. Losing Huck Porty was kind of like, okay, it's not a great loss, but wouldn't have been mad keeping Huck around to develop. But let's see what Leon can do. Liam Robbins, wouldn't be mad bringing him into camp. 9 points tonight. Traditional big. Could do a little bit in terms of the outside shot, but can't move his feet, man. He's going to get absolutely killed when it comes to, minutes. You can't rely on him, So, look, in my opinion, bring him into camp, to compete. But, I'll be looking elsewhere for that third big. In terms of Liam Robbins, like, we're high standards right now, man. We're the reigning, defending NBA champions. Having a guy like him unproven as the third big would be underwhelming for me, and I don't think that's the plan. What do you guys think? J-Dub says Pacome needs to show more confidence in his game, needs to practice more on his three-point shot, needs to be consistent. Yeah. I just think for where we're at, fam, and I think he could have a career in the NBA. I'm not fully down on Pacome. I just don't think he fits our timeline right now. And with the money-wise, maybe we can decline that option and bring him back cheaper. Maybe that's an option. But I see a guy that's kind of like 2 years away still, man. When we drafted him, it was 2 years away. But 2 years down the line, he's still 2 years away. And that's just how it goes sometimes, fam. That's just how it goes, See, when you're drafting, again, that's what makes these complimentary picks this season great, in my opinion. Because you got Tyler Nickel, who can defend, but he knows where his fit in the league is. And that is coming in, three-point shooting, 3-and-D, With Pacome Dardier, when he was drafted, it was like, okay, like, what is he, You got to wait to find out. And that's too much of a surprise for me. Kayil looks like, he's got multiple skills and he needs to develop those, but it looks like he can be very productive still. He could shoot it from outside. He's got a mid-range game. He can defend as well, as we've seen. So seems like, man, we continue to have better luck in the second round and not so much luck in the first round. Right. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Tyler Kolek as well, because he might be thinking opportunities are scarce for me as the third string. He's extension eligible soon coming up. He could be talking to the front office in terms of like, okay, if my opportunities are limited, maybe move me to a place where I can get more opportunities. I still feel like there is opportunity in the regular season for Tyler Kolek. I love his game. Still the best playmaker on this team. I think he's learned a lot off Jalen Brunson. Jose Alvarado coming in. He's a vet now, and I think he's handy to have as a guy who can play on these back-to-backs. He won us a couple of huge games, can play in high leverage situations, can Tyler Kolek. But again, there is still some question marks over, what's going to be his ultimate role. Defensively, still got to make strides there. I think the playmaking is awesome. The 3-point shot looks decent. But yeah, it just comes down to what Kolek's future is. He's going to be turning 26 during the regular season, and he might be wanting more opportunities. So that could be like, okay, Jack Kayil, stick around here on a two-way, but you're going to start the season in Westchester, and then we'll figure it out with Tyler Kolek, Deuce McBride, the trade deadline, backup center. I'm okay. If Leon doesn't figure this all out in the summer, I'm okay with that. Because right now we've still got a very strong squad, but we are going to have to sign a third center, whether it be another just warm body, and then they decide to figure that out with the guy that they really want when it comes to later in the season. But yeah, this Pacome Dardier situation for me is the biggest thing to watch because the 2.9 million, it's more than the minimum, the cap hit. And if you're not in that rotation, you got Jose Alvarado making peanuts, and his player option needs to be team option has to get decided by, I think, October. So I think that is going to be the salary that makes way for another big man. Dirty Dancers in the building. Great to see you, champ. Salute. Says, I'll never get back those 10 hours of watching this summer league. Yeah, it's a blessing and a curse, because we're NBA champs, and sometimes that's the consequence. But yeah, so much talent that we could have taken, we passed up on. We didn't get to see Merez Johnson. We didn't get to see Sergio De La Rey, the player that the Knicks actually selected and traded, was selected for Dallas, but it's definitely not as bad as the Trevor Keels year. I think there's hope. The Tyler Nickel thing has really kept me optimistic. At least I can say Tyler Nickel is going to have a Knicks career, like whether it be a short-term deal, whatever. But I think he's going to be here for the future on a two-way, and then maybe fits in depending how he hits the ground running. I like his defense. I like his compete. Seasoned college man from North Carolina, Vanderbilt. I like his demeanor as well. Never put his head down. Even when he was going through a little cold streak during this summer league, it wasn't all bright for Tyler Nickel, but he was always engaged. He was, keeping his teammates up. I don't think he hijacked or took too many bad shots as well. Also, Dirty says, attach picks, get rid of Pacome, add 2 vet mins. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Definitely. And then, you could keep these rookies on the two-ways. But yeah, I think there's more decisions to be made about Tyler Kolek and Deuce McBride as well. Now, interestingly, Jordan Clarkson, man, he waived his no-trade clause or his, technical no-trade clause. And so he could be a trade chip during the season as well. The Knicks got the flexibility when it comes to that. But yeah, overall, I like the ball movement. I just don't think the Knicks had the playmaking in this summer league. Obviously, Kayil, he missed the first game, but gave us some good flashes, 3 assists tonight in the first 10 minutes. But yeah, Dylan Jones, man, the less said, the better, in my opinion. We needed someone to fill in these reps. Yeah, I think Aikens Aikens looks solid, but yeah, he's not an NBA talent. Sellers wasn't impressive with him. Jourdain had a nice G League season, but yeah, he's nothing to talk about. I think Liam Robbins is worth bringing into camp as a big body, but yeah, he's just not skilled enough to be in the league, in my opinion. NYC says all I can say is Dardier, Diawara, Kolek together should have been used to keep Mitch. Losing Mitch for players' questionable future makes no sense. Yeah, look, I understand. Losing Mitch hurts. If I was Dolan, I would have gone into the second apron, to try to repeat. But at the end of the day, Mitch got a bag, and look, his health is a concern. But yeah, I would have brought him back, and then maybe dealt with the contract later and see. But yeah, you need bodies to fill out the roster, and the Knicks are working under the second apron. They need a lot of cheap talent. There is going to be nights where it's kind of like underwhelming. That's why the Jose, the Landry pickups were huge. Next, we're going to talk about Mohamed Diawara because yeah, he factors into this probably this summer league in terms of disappointing. But we learned from last season you can't really take everything away from summer league. In terms of the league is just different, playing with better talent. We saw that with Tyler. That's why I think Tyler Nickel could be even better than what we're seeing in this summer league, and he was still impressive. So, but overall, man, I think Dardier is still 2 years away from just being a mainstay in a rotation spot. But I do think a guy like Kayil could be around 1 year away from being, in Tyler Kolek's situation where, he plays regular season minutes quite consistently. Hawks ATL says Jack and Nickel are locks. You have to understand the second apron. You restrict Leon from making moves. Dirty Dancer says, I look forward to seeing Hacker Mitch in the playoffs. Yeah, I think the Drummond pickup was as good as we could have done off the minimum, and let's see what we do with the other center spot. I think Leon's going to figure that out and swing a trade. Think about the draft night, all those second round picks we picked up. Think about cash considerations as well. We could use some of that cash and picks. That's what we need it for, ladies and gentlemen. Malik Thomas, man, he's been on fire. And Cam Carr as well. So, yeah, look, Visar, the Knicks could have selected him as a big as well. Some of these picks could come back we could regret. But look, I'm not about to lose too much sleep, man, because we are the reigning, defending NBA champs, right? Whenever our timeline and our contention window closes, we'll have plenty of time to tank it up and bank on young talent and whatever right after Jalen Brunson is done. Because I think Brunson's going to play all the way with the Knicks for the rest of his career, probably a 36, 37, maybe longer. And then the Knicks will be able to look to the future again. Maybe we're going to swing another huge trade. But yeah, OG, happy birthday, 29. He's in his prime. Macau, 30. The Knicks aren't going to be bad for a long time. And the Knicks window is going to stay open, I think, for at least another 2 seasons. The NBA is quite wide open. Yeah, we'll see how much we feel that absence of Mitch defensively. Jonas Valanciunas took that opportunity to go back overseas. So, yeah, I think we might be looking for a more defensive kind of big man that can make up for what Andre Drummond cannot, which is defense. Uh, Dirty says this is why you send Kayil back to Europe. If he dominates, bring him back. Yep, yep. Could definitely feel like that's in the works. But yeah, they shut him down at halftime. If they were left wanting to see more, they would have probably played Kayil in the second half. So one can only speculate right now. It's going to be tough to fit him on the roster, I think, with his buyout situation. And so if I'm a betting man, I still lean towards he's probably going back overseas, but would not be shocked if he takes the two-way deal and takes a hit financially in order to stick around. But I think, yeah, there wasn't many other bright spots, man. Let's talk about Mo Diawara, because Mo Diawara was a part of the free agent signings to bring back. Got a nice little bag, 4-year deal. Had a very underwhelming summer league, but where my concern level is at is basically like 3 out of 10. We already saw in his rookie season how great he can be in terms of NBA spacing, putting the ball on the deck a little bit. Summer league is very unorganized. It's very sloppy. It's very tricky with no spacing. Teams can foul 10 times. Each player can foul. It's physical. And I just felt like, yeah, Diawara just wasn't fully into it. You know, he wasn't locked in. But yeah, it was disappointing from Diawara's perspective. But yeah, I think he's going to be the New York Knicks, like 10th man, 9th man. You look at the depth chart. You got Landry, Jose, Deuce McBride, and Andre Drummond. That's your 9 guys as backups. Certain nights, Jordan Clarkson. You know, if Landry's injured, Deuce is off, Clarkson might even get in. So Diawara right now is the 9th or 10th guy, and that's fine. I'm okay with that right now. Play him a ton during the regular season. Use his fouls. You know, use his sophomore season. Hopefully has another big summer. Comes in ready for training camp. Yeah, I think he was a little out of it this summer league, but yeah, no playmakers. You know, no playmakers out there certainly didn't help. Right, we saw the same thing last season with Tyler Kolek. Dirty wanted the Knicks to keep Onyensu, the guy that we picked up with the 53rd pick, and losing him was a mistake. Yeah, I was kind of really surprised. They probably thought from a roster standpoint, but again, he could have been willing to take a two-way. We don't know. To just give him away to, I think, was it Detroit? We gave him to Detroit for cash. It was definitely a head-scratching deal. But yeah, we got Drummond. Let's see what we do with the 3rd pick. I'd love it if we could get a Khalil Ware. If you know, even if we have to part with more draft capital, you know, maybe we could swing a Cole Ekadadier deal with some picks, but also some cash. You know, we're helping Detroit out. They lost Beef Stew. Or we could be looking at like a Dallas situation because they've got Gafford, they've got Lively, Gafford, and they've got Musa Cisse, and they've got Morez Johnson as well. What do you guys think of the Dallas situation? That's something I'm watching closely, and I'm also looking at Portland with their situation. Donovan Clingan, they've got Hanson Yang, they've got Time Lord as well. Don't know what the situation is with that. You know, so Musa Cisse, he could be gettable. Maybe Daniel Gafford could be gettable. Now's the time to use up these 2nd round picks. Jack Kayil was a part of the rookie photo shoot. There was a lot of speculation. Does that mean he's going to stick around? But that was shut down by some report suggesting that it doesn't mean nothing. He took part in the rookie shoot. Now he's selected number 77. That's his number now. If he does stick in the league in his first season, that's the number that Jack has selected. And we've obviously got Tyler Nickel, double nickel. He's going to be sticking around as well. Davel Rodriguez says the rotation is high key effed up. Do you mean by that? Do you mean like a really deep log jam? Let us know your thoughts. Hawks ATL says we got to trade Deuce. From a Hawks perspective, he will become too expensive. One thing I know that Leon really values is the continuity, the locker room chemistry. I think that's huge. But yeah, I think he does look at he does look at continuity. You lose Mitch, you might not want to, shake things up too much, at least take it into the trade deadline. So I think the Knicks need options at the trade deadline because you just don't know how the first part of the season's going to go. The Knicks might start slow, maybe a little bit of a hangover and be in the 5th seed and need a shake-up. And if track record's anything to go by, Leon Rose has made a trade in season every year. We go all the way back to the Cam Reddish deal, Josh Hart, Derrick Rose, OG Anunoby trades, the Jose trade. There's always a shake-up from that standpoint. So, yeah, I think Deuce is going to come in and go all the way to the trade deadline, and then we see what we need. I'll be surprised if Deuce is traded in the summer because contract year, you hope that he can come in fully locked in and continue to provide that spark off the bench. So I think that's going to be important as well. Yeah, I think, not going to lie, I think when I first saw the Jack Kayil selection, my mind immediately thought about Deuce McBride because, there's that unknown, Maybe the Knicks weren't fully sold on Tyler Kolek being the backup immediately. So what did they do? They went out and got Jose Alvarado. They addressed that. They addressed that situation, and it paid dividends. And it was perfect. The Knicks needed that steady veteran backup point guard. And now, okay, they weren't sold on Kolek. Maybe he's a trade candidate. Things are a bit murky with Deuce's contract, so they go out and draft a combo guard, a guy who, after seeing in the NBA Finals, you could have closing lineups with another ball handler next to Brunson. So I like that fit. I could see a world in a year or two from now, Jack Kayil or another ball handler closing the game with Jalen, closing these games out in high leverage situations. That's probably where I'm most down on Pacome Dardier in terms of putting the ball on the deck. Because we already know that a Mikal Bridges, little shaky with the rock. That's why the Alvarado thing was just, it fit so perfectly. Davel Rodriguez says the rotation order is messed up. The order is extremely discombobulated. Okay, I got you. Dirty says we will keep Deuce. Thanks anyways. D Grant says, see, what do you think of Liam Robbins? I think he's a guy that could provide some depth. Yeah, third string. But the thing where I'm at right now is Andre Drummond still, questionable with Cat, foul trouble health-wise as well. You don't want to play Cat too many minutes. So I want a really reliable third string big. And I would probably lean more towards Trey Jemison over Liam Robbins. But I don't have any problem bringing him into training camp. Let them battle it out. See who can win out, that spot. But yeah, something tells me another big is going to shake loose. Because if Leon really wants to get one of his guys in terms of via a trade, he will. He's got the ammunition. The only reason I don't think we've got a more experienced third string is because we're just not willing to do that right now. I know. Okay, maybe Eves Missy. Maybe the Pelicans aren't ready to trade him now. Okay, what's the next target? Corkbrenner or Musa Diabate? I'm sure one of those guys is gettable if if Leon really wanted to pony up. Maybe pony up and extra picks or Deuce McBride. But I don't think he's willing to do that just yet. So I think we will get someone with higher upside. As Dirty says, Liam Robbins fell over 5 times a game. Yeah, he was a little sloppy with the basketball for me in terms of just safe hands, handling it. The dribble handoffs were a little shaky. The turnovers were terrible overall in Summer League. I thought it was just, sloppy. I wasn't impressed with TJ Saint, going to be honest. But that could be more to do with the lack of talent as well. So not going to say TJ Saint doesn't have a bright future as a coaching prospect, a head coaching prospect, but I just didn't like the actions, didn't like what the Knicks were doing on offense. It was just very, very sloppy. But yeah, for me, Dylan Jones, thank you very much. Thank you for your service. 2-time NBA champ. Was a great advisor to Mike Brown in terms of some of these ideas he posed and suggested to Mike Brown, but we don't need to be wasting any more two-way or any kind of roster spot. I don't care what it is. Westchester, two-way, big club. Dylan Jones, I've seen enough. He's not an NBA player. He looks out of shape. He's slow. His handles is loose. Yeah, again, thank you for your service. 2-time NBA champ. Congrats. But I want to see somebody else in that spot. Dink Pate decided to reject a 2-way deal. He wants to go to college. That was unfortunate. I really like Dink Pate's season in the G League, but yeah, he wants to play college. He's earning huge money. I don't blame him, man. Dink Pate gonna make more than probably Pacome Dardier and Jose Alvarado playing in college, man, with this NIL money, which is crazy. Also, James Nagy went back to college, but that didn't really work out. So let's see what Dink Pate does out here. What do you guys think of Oscar Tshiebwe as a young center that could be gettable? Dirty Dancer says the best options, some of the options available, Drew Eubanks and Duop Reith, are still out there as free agents as well. So yeah, I agree. I think they're some of the better names currently available as a vet free agent. Kelly Olynyk still available, I think, but again, he would be a drop-off defensively. Nick Richards, yep, still available too. Serviceable. Wouldn't be mad with Nick Richards. I know what I'm getting, and I don't think it's like a home run or anything, but it's okay for now, just to run it into the season. But I think it's really important from Cat's standpoint that we don't play Cat more than 30 minutes. Because he's proven, he's a playoff player. Keep him healthy. He's 31 now. His Cat, as you get more wear and tear on the body, would love to see Karl Anthony Towns not overexerted too much, and maybe he takes on more of that playmaking role, like we saw. That was beautiful, man. That's one of the reasons we're NBA champs, ladies and gentlemen. Is Karl Anthony Towns ran the offense. Jalen Brunson helping him out as well off the ball, some too. And we know JB's a point guard and is a damn fine point guard as well, but he can be a two guard the way he scores off the ball. So those minutes with Alvarado, those minutes maybe alongside Kolek. I know defensively it's not going to be great for long stretches, but you can do it. Close games out. The less wear and tear on Brunson during the regular season, the better, I feel. So I feel like Jose Alvarado is going to have a bigger role on this team in terms of minutes than what he did. Dirty says, I hope Kayil goes back to Gonzaga if it's possible still. Yeah, decommitted. That would be interesting. Maybe he looks at that as an opportunity to make good money because he doesn't have anything left to prove, going back overseas. And just before I hit on Davel's point, I want to say this again. I said this earlier. Kayil won the title in Europe. So part of his motivation to not go back overseas is because he just climbed the mountaintop. I know there's another season there where he could play and develop, but it's like, think if you're Kayil, you're 20 years old, you just won the title in Germany, you get your name called by an NBA club, you fulfill that dream, you get drafted. Yeah, you don't want to go back to where you're at. What is there left to accomplish going back overseas, So he might be like, man, Leon, just give me a two-way. I'm going to win some minutes. That's my motivation. I'm going to stick around. I'll take a hit financially. I'll buy out my contract. And y'all can fix me up later. Now, Davel Rodriguez says, isn't Trey Gem a power forward? He's a little undersized. He's 6'10", I think 6'9", 6'10". Yeah, we need size though. We need another big right now. Duop Reith is a stretch 5, but he's 6'10". D Grant says undersized for a center. Eubanks undersized. Yeah, Eubanks not great defensively, but let's hope that Andre Drummond still can give us something, Maybe playing for his hometown team, playing for the club that he grew up supporting was big motivation. He's wanted to play for the Knicks for a long time. There's expectations here now. This ain't Philly. We're reigning, defending NBA champs. Other teams are coming for our head. So the fact that he's getting a larger role could be good for Drummond. In Drummond's, in support of Drummond, you could say that he's been quite durable. He hasn't been as injury prone as Mitch. Played 64 games, I think, 63, 64 games last season. So that's a good thing. Yeah, if he's going to be the primary backup, we need Drummond to be able to play a lot of minutes, start some games as well, for the cat reason that I talked about earlier. What do you guys think about some maybe OG Mo Diawara small ball 5s, right? I've still got Jeremy Sohan there in the graphic, where he's a possibility. Now, probably the Knicks would have brought him back already. But he's still out there. He's still one of the better free agents available. I'm not saying he's going to solve our solutions at the 5, but I still think we're light at the power forward. That's one of the cases to bring back Jeremy Sohan if you can trade Dardier, because you are still thin at the power forward spot. Like, what happens if Mo Diawara doesn't take a leap to be able to play 20 minutes a night? who's your backup for? Is Tyler Nickel, is Dardier going to play a lot of minutes at the 4? Is Josh Hart going to eat up all those minutes at the backup 4? So there is a case about Jeremy Sohan. If you're going to sign another big man as well, and maybe you get rid of, Dardier. Because look, right now, man, you got to make a call on Dardier. If he's not going to play in that rotation, that's 2.9 million that's being wasted. 2.9. Like we're not saving no roster spot for LeBron James. Like he's not going to come to the New York Knicks. He's headed somewhere else. Ladies and gentlemen, LeBron James, where do you think he's going to go? So yeah, Jack Kayil. My bet is that he still goes back somewhere overseas or college. But as I said earlier, I wouldn't be shocked if he accepts a two-way. But it is going to be tricky financially. He's going to have to buy out his own contract because there is clauses, where, the buyout only, the Knicks can trigger the buyout only if they give him a standard deal. If it's a two-way deal, it's a non-guarantee deal, and it makes that buyout tricky right now. Dirty says Cleveland 90%, Miami 10. Building Block says it has to be Cleveland. Yeah, those are my top two teams as well. But I feel like, I don't know if there's been just a lot of smoke around Philly. There's been a lot of talk about he's really looking at Philly, but I don't see it. Just too much, too many players that need the ball. Talk about Jaylen Brown, talk about Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe. You add LeBron to that as well. I don't see that fitting. So yeah, I think Cleveland need him more than anyone. Does that swing the needle at all? I don't think so. I think obviously the East is going to be a lot tougher and it's going to be tight at the top. But I still think the continuity factor for the New York Knicks, regardless of where we finish in the regular season, as someone said in the chat, regular season means nothing, and I agree. I think it means something to experiment, see what you have in certain players, try a few different things, save a few things as well. I think that's important, not to show all your cards, and Mike Brown did a really good job of that. Obviously, the trade deadline pickup of Jose was big, but what I mean, it doesn't mean too much in terms of if you finish second, third, fourth, fifth. We've seen the Miami Heat make the finals from the 8th spot, from the play-in. We've seen the Knicks win the championship from the 3rd spot. All that matters, really, is that you hit your peak at the right time, and maybe some luck plays into it, injuries, some other bad matchups get eliminated. Not going to say that the Knicks, didn't catch a break. Like they did, the pathway did open up, but they were also the best team. Like, they just absolutely dominated and deserve to be crowned NBA champs for the 3rd time. Yeah, I'm really excited. Still living the dream, lapping it up, but can't wait for the Knicks to repeat. Can't wait to Knicks to try to repeat. Banner night, ring ceremony. It's gonna be lit. What does the future hold, ladies and gentlemen, for Pacome Dardier? I think he's a trade candidate. I think the 2.9 million makes sense to part ways. Deuce McBride, I would keep him until the trade deadline at least, and then see what's up. But right now, before the season begins, yeah, I would move on from Dardier if we can in the right deal, and free up some extra money. You could bring in a more experienced big man, and you could fill the 15th spot with Tyler Nickel, the money would work. That's the key thing. By moving on from Dardier or Kolek, you could get your veteran big man, and you could fit Nickel on the roster, which could save another two-way for Kayil, Robbins, someone else. D. Grant says LBJ don't want to play with James Harden as well. Man, either way, man, I think it's a train crash wherever he ends up, man, because he's still going to be a dominant figure in that locker room. Donovan Mitchell as well, ball dominant. LeBron's defense has dropped off as well, and that's if I'm to say there's one reason why I think the Knicks should still be favorites and the best team in the East when the playoffs hit, it's because of our defensive versatility. Now, leaving aside the center position, because I think they're going to figure that out. Obviously, we don't know how much of a loss Mitch is going to be yet. I'm willing to wait that out. But the number one thing I will say, from a defensive versatility standpoint on the wing, I don't think no team in the East has got the perimeter defense that the Knicks have, right? They've got solutions to every problem on the perimeter. Okay, CJ McCollum was lighting us up. It was Josh Hart's job. He came in and shut him down. Tyrese Maxey was up next. VJ Edgecombe. 5-pick Midi Macau. He was the man to step up and shut down Tyrese Maxey in that one, right? OG Anunoby did his thing, slowing everyone down. Landry Shamet's tenacity on defense on the perimeter. Deuce, Jose, Jordan Clarkson stepped up defensively as well. I mean, we've got problems, but defense on the perimeter is not one of them. And we've got options from that standpoint. Also, shout out to Cat for raising his game, playing the best defense of his career, right? Fouled out in game 5, right? Still, he's still going to be ill-disciplined at times, but he came through. He came through in the clutch on defense. Yeah, Jeremy Sohan. I've got him at 50-50. There's a reason, he's on the he's transparent right now. Is Jeremy? Because I think if you do want to trade Dardier, that opens the door, fam, for two minimums. One of them could be Sohan. What do you guys think? I still think from a regular season perspective, you need some extra versatility. I'm just not convinced Mo Diawara is a 20-minute a night guy yet. He might be, might need a little bit more time, and that's okay, because I know everyone was ready to anoint Mo Diawara as like the 7th, 8th guy to eat up a lot of minutes, but we can't forget he's a sophomore still, and he came in as a project. He might need more time still. So from the power forward spot, Josh Hart is 31 years old now. His body has taken a beating over the last 3 seasons, right? The man told us himself he doesn't want to keep playing power forward. He's happy to do it, but he doesn't need to keep doing it for 30 plus minutes. And should we play more double big? If we were to sign a really solid 3rd string center, that would give us some opportunities to maybe play Drummond and Cat a little bit from a floor spacing perspective and dominate the rebounds. Like, if there's a lineup with Drummond and Cat out there, man, the other team got no chance of getting an offensive rebound with those two out there. Um, but obviously, I wasn't that impressed with Sohan. In the small minutes he got, but it was kind of messy because he was a late addition from the buyout market, and he's a guy that can't shoot it. Got ugly form as well. But I like his energy with the team. I think he offers something different, an edge. You know, you're going up against teams that really want to get at you. I think a physical guy like Sohan could be a beneficial. When you're going up against Cade Cunningham, Jalen Brown, you're going up against some of these teams trying to be more physical. Um, but yeah, if Dardier gets moved, that's another reason I want to move on from Dardier right now, because I just think he's got an NBA skill set in the future, but I don't think he's ready right now. And the money is coming to a crunch right now. Um, who doesn't want to play power forward CT, says Davel. Uh, I would love us to keep playing these 5-out units. OG's health was big. You know, our best lineups is with OG at the 4, but yeah, from the backup perspective, um, I think there's other options. Maybe Diawara does suit that role well as a backup 4. I do think Diawara is a little slow turning the corner on defense, so we're yet to fully. Well, I'm yet to be fully sold that Diawara can guard threes full time. I mean, he got absolutely killed defensively in summer league. He's 6'10", 6'9", 6'10", and he's very lanky. High gravity, high center of gravity. I think Diawara's position on defense is probably better guarding fours, and he's got that huge wingspan. He could be a backup 5 as well. I think when his body feels out, but um, I'm just trying to stay level-headed with Mama Diawara. Like, I'm excited that we got something, and I'm excited that he's a player that could be a long rotation player and a steal in the second round. But I also see his limitations. Right, he's probably the biggest below the rim player I've ever seen. He's 6'10", and he doesn't dunk it. He can't dunk it off 1 foot. His legs need strengthening. His legs are so skinny. Like I said, he's probably the biggest, tallest below the rim player I've ever seen. Right? He barely dunks it, and that's a real limitation. Right? I think the talk of comparing him to Siakam is ridiculous right now. It's completely premature. Right? Let him become a Sean Marion first. Let him become a Lamar Odom first before we talk about him as Siakam. Just carve out a role first as a consistent backup. And then we can talk about Siakam maybe a little bit later. But right now, the guy's got no handle, or a shaky handle. The jump shot still work in progress. He doesn't have a counter move or, too much other go-to moves or a floater game. And he's below the rim, like I said. So if he just ends up a backup rotation player from the second round, then that's great. That's great still. Is the ceiling still high where he could be a starting player? Yes, there is still that pathway right now. But yeah, he's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of work to do, does Mo Diawara, I think. But he can get there, I think. I think my biggest thing is the handle. Right? If he can tighten that handle up, I think the 3-point shot, we've seen enough there that shows that he could, he could be a catch and shoot, high percentage catch and shoot player off ball. But right now, I don't see Mo Diawara as an on ball kind of player yet. So yeah, I think he's in the right spot though. He's in the right team, right fit. You know, not too much is expected of him offensively, where he can just catch, make quick decisions, catch it and attack the closeout, but he's got to finish better at the hoop, and he's got to fix that handle. Gangstar says no more French players from the Knicks. Yeah, we're on to German players now, fam. Huck Porty out, Kayil in. Um, yeah, Dirty says sweeping and getting those 9 days for OG was huge. Yeah, I think that's probably the most low-key, underrated aspect of our championship run was just getting those 2 sweeps. Because even in a perfect world, if we repeat, we win another championship in the next few seasons, I don't think we're going to be sweeping teams like we saw. I think that's the greatest anomaly that we may never see ever again, man. Sweeping the second round and the third round, again, it might not happen again for a long time. It's just, you know, you could look at the last however many championships and just say, yep, that's probably not going to happen again. So yeah, it was also a challenge staying locked in, but yeah, I think we finished games strong enough to actually give ourselves the chance, after a slow start, to finish strong. And yeah, credit to the coaching staff as well. But yeah, the team of vets really helped us, fam. I think buy-in for the roles. Cat buying into his role was huge. Jose playing that role of motivator and backup playmaker as well was huge. OG accepting his role as a third, fourth guy on offense and, not taking up too much of the shot clock, catching it, shooting it, catching and driving, being decisive. That's exactly what we needed from OG Anunoby, because with Brunson and Cat, we can't have a third guy that kind of takes up too much of the shot clock. And in OG's defense, he was always getting the ball, having to make a quick decision. And he was arguably one of the best, complementary players in the league at making quick decisions, and shooting the absolute cover off the ball, Talk about, there's not many players in the league that I want just catching it, shooting it. OG did. He was absolutely deadly, man. And yeah, as we wrap up the summer league convo, we continue to cover off-season Knicks and off-season. My biggest positive is obviously the Tyler Nickel pickup in the draft. Salute to that. Showed me great signs, man. He could push for some rotation minutes, on back-to-backs if injuries, but he's going to earn himself at least a two-way deal. And he does not look out of place, man. He looks like a veteran who could help in his rookie season, even in a sparing role. You can never have enough shooting, man. Just catch it, shoot it, defend, and all of that. So appreciate everyone for coming through. Blessings and all of that. Champs, let's get it. Excited for this season coming up and the next chance to repeat. Still some things to figure out. Obviously wait to see what happens with Kayil. Interesting. We'll hear some reporting maybe either tonight, tomorrow, after summer league's over now. What does the future hold for Jack Kayil? But obviously Tyler Nickel is going to be here. Two-way contract most likely, but also with one more roster spot to fill, with a vet minimum available. Let's see what happens with Pacome Dardier. Again, he showed us flashes, but I'm just still not completely sold on what we've seen. I need more toughness. I need more consistency off the dribble. But yeah, nice complementary player off the ball. Still got work to do. I like his size. I like his length and his cutting ability. He looks smooth in transition, does Dardier. But yeah, for a player coming into their third season, third summer league, I wanted to see more. I wanted to see a guy take over a game, and we're just maybe not going to get that with Pacome Dardier. You know, maybe he's just not that kind of player that's going to be able to do that. But for me, Tyler Nickel and Jack Kayil, they look more like veterans out there. They look more polished than a Dardier and a Diawara. And that's not surprising to me, you know. Kayil won the title with a team in a professional league as the point guard. Tyler Nickel played multiple seasons in college, so he's older than Pacome Dardier as well. So you look at Dardier Diawara with NBA experience, it was a letdown overall in this summer league, but it ain't the be-all or end-all when it comes to summer league. We live to fight another day. They live to fight another day. Let's see what plays out. But the money and the financial situation is what I'm really looking at when it comes to Dardier's 2.9. Not in the rotation, and he's not going to be in that rotation no matter what happens. Even if he stays, he's not going to be in that rotation. So that's a lot of money. Well, we need a backup center. And also, Tyler Kolek won't be in the rotation from day one. Does he look for other opportunities? Potentially. Let's see. If we're trying to maybe look at even bringing Deuce McBride back. Because bringing Deuce back is still a possibility. I know I may not have said this yet. I know a lot of people are writing like it's a foregone conclusion that Deuce McBride is going to go. But if Karl Anthony Towns takes a cheaper extension and Josh Hart, you know, the New York Knicks decline Josh Hart's team option for the following season, right? Those two guys take discounts and the Knicks extend them for more guaranteed years at lesser money. The Knicks could still pay Deuce McBride a good deal, right? So there's still that possibility right now. But again, a lot of different things, you know, need to play out, I think, for that to happen. But we're bringing back the same starting five. We're the reigning, defending NBA champions, and everyone else, man, is looking up at the New York Knicks, trying to take our crown. Let's see how the rest of this summer plays out. We'll be live again, next weekend. But anything that breaks during the week, you know, we'll bring in a podcast recap and all of that. But for summer league, Tyler Nickel, big tick. Jack Kayil, a positive. You know, flashes. We'll see what happens in his future. Not banking on an immediate future right now, but yeah, for Dardier Diawara, their future is in the spotlight in the immediate. And we get it on the next one, everyone. Peace.